This video is proudly sponsored by Blinkist. Now, I think one of the best investments you can make in life is investing in yourself. And if you're anything like me, and chances are if you're watching my content, maybe you're very similar to me in that maybe you lack a little motivation, spend too much of your free time doing things that aren't considered particularly constructive. But you have aspirations, and maybe you don't want to dedicate 2 or 3 hours or 4 hours to learning something every day, but you want to continually expand your knowledge. This is why I've teamed up with Blinkist. They take a book and compress it down into a 15-minute bite-sized summary. The best thing is, they can be listened to or read as a podcast style or traditional book. I listen to everything, but you don't have to. A perfect example, and this is when I knew Blinkist was something that I wanted to recommend to my viewers. I have read a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, twice actually, before even knowing what Blinkist was. And I found it on the app because I searched it. And you can search by title, by category. And if we go into my library, see I've got a couple of books saved. I've already consumed 5, one of which was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And the takeaway from this was exceptional. I'm still unsure how they managed to fit so much information into 15 minutes, but more importantly than that, so much information that was very easy to digest. The link's below. It's entirely free, and if you sign up to Premium, you'll get a 25% discount, courtesy of the channel. Now if we just open up the angle ever so slightly. Good. My apologies. Please, come in. Do get yourself comfortable. My name is Matt, and I'm very excited to see you. I think sculpting is one of these things that people have very little experience with. In fact, almost none in many cases. But something quite magnificent about transferring someone, immortalizing somebody from their self to marble figurine or full statue where you're concerned. Now, I've been sculpting for as long as I can remember, basically. 22 years. And I've never had a project so far that didn't bring me the most profound satisfaction. So, if you could just take a seat. I've positioned this seat exactly from a mathematical standpoint of where we intend to sculpt. What I mean by that is that sculpture will actually be of you sitting, which is handy for you. I've had clients in the past that had to stand still for 2.5 hours while I went through the entire process. Thankfully, that won't be the case here. Before we begin, I'd like to offer you, we have a spring in the back garden. My great-grandfather discovered this actually, and let me pour you a glass, and if it isn't the cleanest and freshest water you've ever tasted, I'll do the sculpture for free. Try that on for size. Pour myself a glass as well. I would have said cheers, but a client of mine, some 10 years ago, he told me a story that cheersing non-alcoholic beverage is considered bad luck. And while I don't necessarily believe in, well, so much power being carried in so few words, I would find it best not to tempt fate. Now, you're sitting comfortably. Good. Let me talk you through the process. I'll be taking a series of complex measurements. Whether or not you realize this, the measurements that we take today set my parameters for success. What I mean by that is that if you provide an individual with a series of blunted tools, a lower quality starting block, the product at the end will be of significantly compromised quality. So it's absolutely imperative that we get this part right. And the more information I have, the more data we have, the greater our ceiling of quality. Now, I say all that to say this. Get comfortable, because we have a lot of measuring to do. If you need to move or scratch your nose, you don't need to sit frozen. You're not a statue yet. But if you want to get up and walk around, stretch your limbs, or to freshen your glass, just let me know. Okay? Alright. Now the first thing I want to do is look you over. It might sound a little odd, but to really look at you. How often do we spend in our lives looking at somebody but never actually looking at them? We talk and we converse with people and we never really see them. And when I'm trying to capture that essence in a piece of brick, a piece of stone, it's incredibly difficult without really seeing the person. Otherwise, what you end up is just a neatly carved block. But we want to convert. We want to bring that to life. And to do that, I need to see you. And you're going to have to excuse me because I'm a little bit old school. The face is how we communicate. And I don't mean our voices, our face. That's the front door to who we are. All of our worries, our happiness, our body captures these. Wrinkles on foreheads. All of these experiences culminate in making us who we are. And I'm just going to be jotting down some little observations that I'll be just attaching to what I call points of interest on the face. Okay? Now please just relax. You can look straight ahead. I don't need you to do anything. I just need you to be seen. What makes you, you? And when you walked into the room today, I could see you, your personality, your face, and your walk, the way we sit in a chair. But let's not go down the rabbit hole just yet. Let's get these observations. Good. What am I seeing? I'm seeing okay. And what I'm sketching and writing here, I'll give you an example. You have no idea what that is. But me, every stroke, every line, when I pick this up to start sculpting, think of it as writing in code, shorthand for a sculptor. Now where I'm positioning it on the face is key, because I don't remember everything. But context. Don't worry, these won't hurt when you pull them off. In case you want me to talk you through the process here, at least my thought process, to try to translate what I'm writing here. The darkened wave, the little crest just above the eyebrows. When you lifted your eyebrows as I placed the prior ticket, just a small furrow. There's a wave, and these interlacing lines, they're just little strands of hair. They just intersect as you're furrowing. Small observations, but observations worth noting. Now, the nose. And the very Handsome nose it is. Good. Good. Now, just one for the neck. Now, I'm not drawing you on these. I'm sketching notes. And these will be collated and used as reference material as I pick up my chisel. Okay, final one. Okay. My methods are more than a little bit uncouth, unconventional. But my results, well, people seem to like my work. And why change if you're happy and your happiness isn't causing anyone else discomfort? It's a simple philosophy to live by, but one I've always lived by. Now, let me maybe you feel a little bit ridiculous. You're covered in several of my doodled notes. Not at all, you look marvelous. But again, what I'm doing, even as I'm drinking the water, I'm not a student of mindfulness, but I know of it. And even as I'm drinking the water, I'm taking you and the notes in. Good, good. Okay. Now, before I start taking the physical measurements, can I offer you another drink? Are you comfortable? A little bit sleepy? Perfectly acceptable. Okay. Now, as I said, we will be taking a series of complex measurements. A variety of not only measurements, but correlation, where we find symmetries. It's the symmetry and the distances that again culminate in making us who we are. So it's absolutely vital that I get every detail in measured form. So instead of me trying to recreate it in my mind's eye, I'm able to work with a level of accuracy that I feel very comfortable with. Now, first measurement we take, essentially, is the very base of your hairline, and yours is infinitely healthier than mine, by the way. The base of the hairline to the very bottom of your chin. And this gives me a very broad, but absolutely fundamental measurement. Now I call this the tide stick. Tide, T-I-D. We're not at sea. I'm not washing clothes. A tide stick. The tide will wash away almost everything on a beach. But a tide stick remains where it is, regardless of the changing environment. the one constant we have that everything else moves from. And we always double measure our tight stem. Good. I'll just take a very quick note. I'll be using this a little bit later, but not yet. Not yet. Can you ask you to forgive me? Not quite as organized as I would like to be, but there are those that would argue the journey is what's important, but in my line of work, the finish is everything. Our tide good. Okay. Now the next measurement we take, cheekbone to cheekbone. And it might seem odd, but I will flip-flop between inches and centimeters. Not for any reason other than sometimes the tape measure flips around. It's over my shoulder. And I learned to work in both. So we're taking high point to high point. Our cheekbones capture more than just the attention. They erase our entire profile. They raise our standing in people's opinions. Cheekbones are one of our most prominent figures, regardless of whether you're pronounced or otherwise. And we've got the tide and our high points. And with just those two measurements, we could actually very loosely begin to chisel away at the face, just with those two measurements, because they make up such a large portion, all the measurements of your face. And there are many, numerous, but their significance makes them worth our weight in gold. Now, the center point of the nose, down to the chin. Now you would be amazed how much this varies. There's actually some fairly well documented concrete math behind personality traits between this distance to this distance. Now I'm not sketching personality, at least not too much of it, but want to carry the essence of you, not just the personality. Okay, now it's not uncomfortable, but we're measuring from the ear, wrapping round over the mustache area, above the lip, to our other earlobe. Just tucking it above the mustache line into the earlobe. Good. Lobe to lobe. Now, before I continue, to your knowledge, do you have any breaks or any swelling of your teeth, abscesses, anything that would cause a change to the measurements of the face that aren't permanent? Or perhaps they are permanent now, but you're not healing from anything. No previous breaks. Even the breaks in the jaw. It's important to know because, again, minor details, but if every minor detail offered even 0.5% towards a more lifelike representation, then the more details we get, the closer to like for like our dreams are hopefully realized. At least my dreams. I dream for nothing but the best work and the joy of my clients. Now, if you could just, you don't need to close your eyes, but just relax the lids. The tape measure won't damage or strain the eyes. You just want to get the distance. Good. Thank you. Not to feel uncomfortable, but a lot of people don't like their eyes being touched anyway. But the eye to eye, seeing eye to eye literally, is, again, it's a bit of an essential for me. The distance we have between our eyes. It's one of these subtleties that go a long way again to defining our overall structure, profile. This is just from your eyebrow down to the base of your chin. Wonderful. Excellent. And for the sake of continuity, to the other side as well. And you would be very surprised just how often there are inconsistencies in what we expect to be symmetry. And we see it in a few places in our body. Sometimes a leg can be a couple of centimeters longer than the other. And at this point I just want to call in our protractor. And I'm just stepping off. And what I'm doing here is just measuring the angle of the nose. Very, very handsome nose you have indeed. I'll just do the other side. Just looking at the bridge to the nostril and just how far we're. Okay. Good. Again, just looking and seeing. Of course, I don't want to rush things, but I also don't want you to start getting sore. I just need to take a quick the angling of the chin. Okay. Very good. Excellent. Now, shoulder to shoulder. And we're just taking our time here. Getting those shoulders, chest side. Still a check. Good. Very good. Now the body is infinitely less complex than the face to sculpt for really obvious reasons. We don't carry the history of our life in our clothes. Well, we do, but not cumulatively speaking. There's a lot more fine lines and details in the face, in the hands actually too. But how a cloth or an item of clothing sits on us, how we wear it, if you could just lift your arms up for me a little bit, please. Just measuring around your chest. Stepping around a little bit here. Good. Okay. Now, I'm just going to pop around the back and get the same shoulder to shoulder measurement. And while I'm there, I'll also have your arms outstretched as if you were doing jumping jacks, but not jumping. Just to measure what we call the wingspan. Just try and keep your arms outstretched, but keep them relaxed if at all possible, please. Good, and from the other side as well, please. Just stepping around here. And if you could just grab onto this little piece of tape between your two fingers, please. Excellent. Let me just run it round across. I've done this before. That kind of first time tape grabbing, I would say you're at least a second or even third sculptor. Clientele. Just kidding, of course. Okay. You know, I did try recording all of my notes, my data, my measurements on an iPad. And when I was reviewing them at the end of the day, they were right. They were all correct. Nothing was missing. But it didn't feel real. My notes quite often talk to me, help tell the story of what it is I'm trying to create. And I just felt a little bit of the luster was lost, going digital, so to speak. And not to say that it isn't infinitely more accurate, and I'm sure I would do a better job. Actually, that's not true. But I am a creature of habit, and I find my noting system, even the sticky notes, they provide a proven track record, but comfort, familiarity. Now, I want to measure from the shoulder to the tips of the fingers. Just on one side, please. We'll just always checking for continuity. Continuity. Excellent. Now, I'll be measuring the stomach just above the hip. And please don't breathe in. Even if I was to sculpt with you breathing in, or at least to those measurements, the way your clothes would sit, even on a sculpture, at least hopefully as detailed as mine would be, or as accurate as it would be. The clothes don't sit right when we do something unnatural to our bodies, like holding your stomach in. And we want seamlessness. So I appreciate you not, and you don't have a cut anyway. I, on the other hand. Okay. I'll be measuring the top of the thigh to the knee, and from the knee right down to the tip of your toe. Okay. From the thigh to the kneecap, and then the kneecap to the tip of the toe. Good. And the other side. Curiously enough, there is a very slight deviation from your left to your right leg, from your kneecap to the tip of your toe, but it's very small. Again, it could have been the result of, I don't know if you ran a lot as you were a kid, a bit of compression. Actually, marathon runners shrink, not significantly, for a few hours after they're running, because there's so much compression that they actually get shorter. Yes. Okay. Good. Knee to toes. Now, taking your outside leg from the hip on each side, of course. Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. Now, got the face. Very well understood. Chest, shoulder to shoulder. what I would like. From your chin down to your navel. Good. Now, if you can put your hands by your side, and almost in like a robotic arm way, just bend your arm to a right angle. Just keep them at your sides and lift your hands up so they're at right angles. What I'm doing is measuring from the shoulder to the tip of the finger, essentially forming a triangle. Good. Good. Okay. I'm just going to just take a moment to look at you again. Just to see you. I'm not sketching even the sculpture. I'm sketching who I see. You're at peace. You're at ease. And at least for right now, the weight of the world doesn't seem so heavy that maybe this little design house of mine can act as somewhere you can retreat to, withdraw to. Because, oh, because you look and feel like somebody who's very occasionally in need of just a little respite from the world out there. Okay. I'm just going to measure the fingers, and then you can just about be on your way. Unfortunately, I need to measure every finger, just because sculptors are fascinated by precision detailing. And I'm sure you don't have any relatives that would take the time to measure the sculpture, but it only takes one tiny imperfection to bring everything into question. And the pinky. Excellent. Okay. Now I can start sculpting as soon as tomorrow, actually. I just need to compile my notes, but I think we might need 2 more sessions. The legs were, I took a very high, almost bird's eye approach to the waist and below. For just now, we can finalize and flesh that out. But for right now, I think we have an excellent foundation on which to proceed. Are there any particular interests or sports that you partake in? Seems like a relatively harmless question. and it is, but any characteristic that I can glean from the client, honestly, it's another 0.5% towards realism. Okay. I'll take off my yellow sticky tacks. Thank you, you were enormously helpful. And you looked extraordinarily regal with your yellow tags. Yellow tags. As I said, these will be collated and then overlaid against the measurement dataset. And when you go to checkout, there's a scanner that you'll be walking through. It's essentially a 3D scanner that takes a baseline for us to base my findings on. It's always good to do what we call belt and brace, as I am very old school with my note-taking, but we're a very successful, albeit very small business, and we understand the technology required to provide our clients with executive experiences. It's my pleasure. And again, I'm a little bit unconventional at times, but I promise you're really going to like the results. I'm afraid that's all we have time for, but we'll schedule something again very soon. My calculations are only partially complete. No, thank you for coming in and sharing your very valuable time